So I don't want to delay this any longer. We're here with Gaines.
No
You
doubt, no
know,
doubt.
this is amazing. Yeah, give a round of applause. Round of applause. This is super exciting because I'm already a fan. So this is almost like look at this as a fan, asking these like deep seething questions. But
100%.
no pressure.
Got you.
I think for anyone that might not know, I think it's important to start like with your origin.
Mhm.
So, you've been rapping for a long time. You're part of the super influential Cooley High, which turned to Ooze Gang. So kind of talk about your origin story so people can get to know you a little more.
Well, I've I'm Buffalo born and raised. Grew up on the east side. Um, I ended up going to school with I went to a school that was around the corner from me growing up, and then once I graduated 8th grade, I went to a private school, and the private school ended up being St. Joe's, and I ran into a bunch of cats that was like me, came from the same neighborhood, and you know, I kind of kept to myself for the first year or so, but I was embraced by those fellas when they was you know to to mention a few of them, my brother Skateboard, Tony Boy. Um, I know all these guys since 13, so we all started. We all were friends, but then we all started making music together about 17 years ago.
Wow.
So
So it's been a life journey,
yeah,
with
hundred
the
percent.
same people. Talk about that early start with Cooley High.
So the music that we made in high school, that was like, okay, we all know we got something. Some of the guys that jumped in there, jumped in the studio with us, did some stuff. They kind of fell to the side. Life changed. Everybody kind of started pursuing other things, stopped rapping. I was one of the only people that kind of stuck it through, me and Tone. And we put a project out 12 years ago, 2010. It was called Mary's Chronicles. It was all about marijuana and just like how it was helping us and at the time. But we jumped from that, and we kind of was able to form together with my brother Jordan Cooley and Skateboard, and
Shout out Skate and Cooley.
we was able to put together a conglomerate called, as you know, Cooley High. So it was like the four of us, and then we kind of brought on more people, kind of recruited some other artists, artists like Short Moscato, my boy Mar. He just stepped out, but we all came together and just did what we knew we can do best, and that lasted about 4 years. So from
Yeah.
then we kind of split off. It's always a break off at point, a
Yeah.
breaking
Yeah.
point with groups. So
Well, you're always, you're learning and growing, and you guys met each other at an early age. So, of course, you'll have those seasons where, you guys are doing your own thing, then you come back together and you're stronger, and then you leave and come back together. So that's dope.
for sure.
So shout out to Ooze Gang. Definitely want to drop them. They have a project out called Last Time Being Bad Guys. So definitely check that out. So shout
100%.
out to y'all. But let's get to Native Son. I don't want to
Yeah.
delay it any longer. So before I ask any questions about Native Son, I want to read this quote. I actually, interviewed you over a year ago, and I wrote an article about you for Sneak Vibin'. And this is the quote you said, and this was so profound to me because this is such an honest quote. You said, "There was a point in time where I was a better artist than I was a man. I could rap my ass off, but I ain't have a dollar in my pocket. Really, over the years, balancing and molding myself into the person I've become, and then being able to display that, that's really the ultimate purpose." That is a very you have to have a certain sense of awareness to say that, and then to say that to a journalist.
Yeah.
So where did that come from? Because it seemed like that fueled Native Son.
So Native Son was I had already been out. I feel like I already been known or been in those places. But when I put Native Son out, I was able to be able to define myself as not just an artist or just a rapper, but I was able to define myself as the man that I understood myself to becoming, at the time. So just more so that statement was more like a reflection of where I've been, where I come from. Me and my brothers skateboarding back and forth from the spot we used to record from. We would skateboard from fucking down here, right where we at, all the way to North Buffalo with $5 a piece. You know what I'm saying? And coming from those times to like, okay, what was the most consistent point in that? It's like I stuck with the music, and he stood by me as, what I mean, as my support, as my management, as my goddamn guardian, at sometimes. So, Native Son, like I said, just reflecting on where I come from to where I am now, that's kind of.
Yeah. And I feel that, if you guys have listened to Native Son, it's cut into 4 acts, including an interlude, so 5 tracks altogether.
Yes.
But every track either has like 1 or 3 songs on it. And what was the point of that? I know you mentioned like shout out to Cooley, had creative direction in that, but what was the intention behind that?
Between the setting them up as acts, I wanted to do something different. A lot of times, guys, the streaming changed the way things is, the way music is played nowadays. A lot of people make shorter songs so that people will listen to their songs more. It's all types of, I guess you could say gimmicks, but all types of ways to get people to listen to yours. But me, I wanted people to be more immersed into the project and to kind of create it as an experience. You won't be able to just listen to your favorite song at, like, I just want to skip to the next song. And it's like, well, you skip a song, you end up skipping 3 or 4 tracks. Every song every act had 2 to 3 songs in it. So I was able to kind of force you to listen. You know what I mean?
Finesse them into listening to into 3 songs with 1 track. But that was smart.
Yeah.
That was smart. So let's get into the first track. The intro to Native Son, you have a quote where someone is talking about peak versus trajectory, which I think is really interesting. What was the intention behind that?
Well, it was a lot of cuts from the project. That was an interview from a guru, or a guy that went by the name of Guru, and he he touched on points that I actually focus on in my real life, and things that me and my brothers discuss, like being the original human being, being the original man, and understanding like what you're pursuing, and the obstacles it takes to get to a goal or achieve certain goals, and whatever you focus on, whatever you into, you have an understanding of, like, he provided an understanding of where you're headed and what it takes to get to that destination, So I kind of look at this as kind of a pit stop in my journey. So like putting that in the project just made the most sense to me at the time. So
yeah. And the interesting part is that you start with that quote, but then, if I'm remembering correctly, there's this very exciting message in that first track. It's like really exciting. I think are there 3 songs in that first one?
The first act is only 2 songs.
2 songs.
Act 2 is where you get 3.
The 3, okay.
So it's like I said, it forces you to listen.
Yeah.
It puts you in the mode. If you like the first song, you're gonna listen to the second one. And if you don't like the second one too much, you're going to see what the next one's about. And you got to sit there and go for that ride, More than this, like I said, just picking your favorite out of it. Okay, track 7 is my favorite, so I'm going to play that only. It's like, no, you have to have the full experience to fully understand what I was trying to present. So
right. And you made it enjoyable because the beat production on there was crazy. Shout out to Thomas Swagger, Kage, Program, some of the most the prevalent rappers on there, and rising rappers in Buffalo. They're all building their profile and influence here in Buffalo, so that was dope. But the transitions were amazing. Like, you really felt like you were in a movie.
100%. That's a big thing that me and my brother Jordan's been focusing on. It's more than just putting out a collection of music that you just recorded. Okay, I recorded 10 songs in 3 months, but okay, how can we make this tie together and make it a story? How can I make it something that people can relate to, or an experience that you want to have? So many people told me that since they received my project, they were like, they didn't remove it from their CD players because it's like, this is the ride, this is the experience I want to have when I'm going to work, when I'm traveling, so I'm like, it's just a blessing to be able to, do it for this long and understand what you're doing and how it affects people. That was like the biggest thing for me. But we focus heavy on just creating the experience, and the only way to do that is to have transitions, to have chapters installed into, you know what I mean, to your work, and just understanding that the music is good enough to keep their attention, but it's okay, good music with that adds a storyline, you know, and like I said, just the overall experience is what we aim to capture. So
it's definitely intriguing, and it was interesting to kind of listen to. Like I told you, I listened to it like early in the morning over again, and it was interesting to hear those like transitions and see how you guys took your time and like blending it to the next thing. So shout out to those producers. Shout out again to Cooley for that creative direction, because I think that was really dope.
100%.
Yeah. So track 2, which is my favorite, Act 2, for sure. All three just bangers. Like it feels like the soundtrack to like a coming of age. Isn't it called coming of age?
I believe coming of age is the first track. The second track is Fires on the Horizon. But I just had to instead of title an individual track, I had to title the chapter, so to speak. So but yeah, that came together. That was probably one of the most favorite acts on the project. Anybody that asked me or talked about the project, like I listened. Some people got stuck in that act actually when they listened to it. So, yeah. But I got great feedback from it, and it was like kind of just a combination of some of the more energetic tracks, but I was able to, like I said, put them together in a way that's like, okay, this is an experience in itself. Like, you know, you read a book or you watch a play, and it's like, okay, sometimes people have their favorite part of a movie or a favorite part of the experience, and it's like that's what we aim to have, is like to make sure people have control over what they're experiencing and understand, like, okay, I like this part, but this part is like it has so much involved in it. You know, I gave you 3 songs in 7 minutes, but that's only one track. So you know, and
it feels like a lot. It's a great metaphor for life. You know, you can have a moment that is so intense or just feels so good that it seems like it lasts longer, or maybe it does last longer. You know, it's really up to interpretation. But track 2 for sure. One of the things about track 2 that I noticed, like the theme was about being behind the scenes. You referenced being underwater, like almost being like this ominous figure. And I want to go back to your 2019 project really quick, where I think it's the project that you're holding your daughter on it.
Yes. Yep. And GAINE stands for profits.
Yeah, GAINE stands for, and I think in the first one you talk about like being a black sheep. You're talking about speaking for people that don't get heard. You talk about like not being heard. So I really want to dive deep into that, because you kind of bring it back in Native Son.
100%. So I think that project was the beginning of my journey to be like to discovering myself as not just an artist. Okay, I'm good at rapping. I know how to make good music and all of that. But it became more of a experience where I had to dive in to understand myself. I came across a guy that owned a business. You know, he's kind of entertainment business, and he asked me one day. He said, "So who do you make music for, Gaines?" And I said, "I make music for me. You know, like why do you do what you do? You do it for you, right? You know." But in making music, you got to understand, or making art, you got to understand that there's an audience to that. And you're not just doing it for yourself. So I had to one day in Toronto, we went to Toronto for a trip. There was some event out there, and my brother Jordan, he sat down and he interviewed me. He asked me, he said, he's like, I'm gonna just interview and ask you these questions that you usually don't, you don't answer. So I said, okay, or I don't do well with answering. So he asked me, he said, well, who do you make music for? And I said, I make music for myself. And he posed the question that took it to the next level of like further explaining who he just asked, who are you and who are you, And I said, whoa, like, well, I kind of didn't know what to say, but my response was like, I'm the guy that no one really listened to in person, But when you hear me on that music, when you hear my voice, it's like it's captivating. You know what I'm saying? So I've always been the one that's laid back. That I ain't gonna do too much. You know what I mean? They ain't worried about me. But it's like end of the day, everyone is. We're all equal. We're all the same. So like as much as you feel like you're not heard, you actually are. So I had to discover that within myself, and it just opened the door to dive deeper into who I was and the things that I stand on, the morals I stand on, and I just dove right in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the main intention of an artist, is to kind of speak for the unheard, whether you know it or not. You're kind of speaking, you're sharing a perspective that other people share.
Yep.
And there's an interesting duality with that, because you're laid back behind the scenes. We were talking about this, like, before I met you, I thought you were, like, serious, just based on your music.
Yeah.
But then meeting you in person, like, you're funny, you can be occasionally goofy, things like that.
Yeah, that's my boys. They know. They know.
Yeah. But the interlude kind of breaks that up, because it's like this vibey, like, fun feel. So you're slowly showing that duality in yourself. Was it enjoyable to make that interlude? Because I felt like that broke it up a little bit.
What's interesting is the interlude in the project. I recorded that 9 years ago.
Wow.
So that was before I even I made a whole nother genre of music for years after that, and I found that track and I said, "Whoa, this fits everything that I'm doing." Yeah. Back then I stepped. I would make we make trap music. We make shit that gives people energy, or you want to turn up, whatever it is. I was able to tap into like a level of soul with that, and kind of be the smooth, cocky, smooth, but like player type music. You know what I'm saying? So I try to captivate that with those type of sounds. It's like if it's a 80s or 1970s sample, I try to make sure the music that I make or the lyrics that I write to it matches the vibe. A lot of times, somebody hear a high energy song and they think they got to match it with just high energy or negative energy. And it's like, no, sometimes if it's smooth, be smooth. You know what I mean? Like it's no. Yeah. So that's what that interlude was. It was like me stepping into that. But like I said, I was 22 when I recorded that track, and it just matched. My voice sounded the same as it does now. So I was able to take something from my past and bring it to the now.
That's a testament to that your art is like timeless. 9 years ago, because when I hear that now, that's like, oh man, this is cool. Like this is a new side. I'm thinking this is something you've recently experimented with. So you kind of had it in the tuck. You're just like ready to kind of share that side now.
100%. Yeah. So that's
my So on Act 3 though, you go back to roasting. On Act 3, like you like kind of in the most respectable way. In Act 3, you kind of critique like the rapper life, like how rappers are supposed to behave. You kind of you're giving you're dropping jewels, but you're also kind of like, man, like this is not the way to go. So talk about that.
Well, I think my experience as a rapper or as an artist, I've seen the ups and downs. I've watched other artists. We it's almost like a persona that's created. And for me, like I always just thrived off of just being myself. I meet the standards of what's set up. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be who I am as an artist.
Right.
If you know what I mean, you're gonna see sides of me as okay, that's why he talk like that on the song. But ultimately, like I just try to just be myself, and I try to tell other artists that I know are working. I'm like, yo, you don't gotta be nothing that they tell you to be.
Right.
Whatever you see on TV, you don't have to be that. It ain't gotta look like that. You know what I mean? It can, you know what I mean? You can tap into that and, be like those guys. But most of the time, you had asked me a question before and you talked about the stigma of rappers and of what and how they look, or how, what comes with a rapper, Right, and a lot of times, like these days, there's a lot of negative energy that surrounds artists, and it's like, okay, he gotta watch his back, he got, he part of this, he part of that, and it's like a lot of glorified bullshit, and I won't lie, So I try to highlight those things, so that we, artists can see like, oh, okay, there's another way to go with this,
Right.
I don't need to be the top guy. I don't need to be the face of anything. I just need to be heard and present,
Right.
and that's the biggest thing for me.
Right.
So
And I kind of want to go back because, like you said, being heard, being present, and you're kind of when you start to critique or share opinions, you're kind of assuming a certain position where you like follow me, let me show you something. And I
100%.
think it's interesting. I'm not sure if it's an act. I think it's Act 3, where you have that. You ask like black man versus nigger. Then
Hmm.
you also have the Nina Simone quote where she's talking about like the whole point is
Hmm.
to kind of tell, again, share the voice of the unheard.
Yep.
So that theme is like continuous. Like
That's
you
it.
really wanted to.
That's all it is. Is whatever you create, whether it's music, whether you paint, it doesn't matter what you do. There's a message there, and if you're gonna have a message, or if you do understand your message, make sure it's clear.
Yeah.
Make sure people can benefit from what you're presenting. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Whether it makes them feel good, whether it makes them turn up, whether it makes whatever you do. I respect all facets of art and creativity. So I just try to be like conscious of that when I'm creating. You know, and
Yeah.
and also just knowing that if you have power, or you understand what what your voice or whatever you do, how it makes people feel, how powerful that movement is like you have to tap into, all right, well, what is the message and what do I want to get the people to see? And it's not
Yeah.
about me,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
about us, it's about us as a people, not just artists or a specific group. It's about how you live your life. It's about lessons that we go through, the triumphs, the trials and tribulations, all of that. And being able to see someone that does music or does whatever they do, and you can identify with that. It's like, yo, I went through that. It's like, I backtrack to why I make music. I said, I make music for myself. But guess what? I'm like other people.
Right.
So
Right.
I make music for y'all too. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's how I look at it.
So this is my last question. I want to end with this because I think this is interesting. You're a father. You have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You're a rapper. There's a lot of assumptions made, when it comes to that because, like you said, the lifestyle of a rapper has certain elements and certain themes that are common.
Yeah.
So having a daughter, being a rapper, being a lyricist, being an artist at the core, like, do you feel like she played a huge part in that, in you developing a certain maturity and perspective?
100%. 100%. 5 years ago, I was just had a job. I was trapping with my niggas, making shit happen. We just like, we going for the gusto. I don't give a fuck. Police come knock and bust this shit down. It don't matter. We gonna be doing this shit even after they come. And still do a little bit of that. But end of the day, like once I have a daughter, it was like, oh wait. I needed to find who I am. I don't know. I thought I knew who I was. I thought I understood things in a way that, was going to be beneficial to me. It's like, you didn't even know to have, a lot of times people have children and it's like, oh, I still got goals to chase, or I still got things that I want to do, but shit, I got to raise this kid too and be a role model to this kid. So the biggest thing for me was just like slowing down. I slowed down. It put me down. It was like, oh shit, like, nah, it's Friday and Saturday. Why you ain't out? I'm at the crib with the kid, and me cooking dinner for her has become more important than having a drink when I go out or trying to go out and hang out with friends. Like, nah, like I gotta cook at the crib. She gotta take a bath at 8:30. Like, you know what I mean? It's like regular shit. Like, you know what I mean? But you fall into it more than it's like it's forced on you. Sometimes it's like, it overall, it just made me a better person. It made me take care of me. It's like I slowed down enough to see what I needed. You know what I mean? More than what I was trying to pursue and try to be out here doing or look like. And it's like, nah, fuck how I look. Do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Take care of you. Take care of your responsibilities. Take care of your kid. Be there for them. So like I just fell into my responsibilities, and I was lucky to have brothers that understood that shit. They ain't say like, yo, you got the kid, now you acting like you can't do anything. Nah, they support that shit. Oh, you got the girl, call me when you free, nigga. Like, I ain't worried about it. Take care of you, you know. And that shit pushed me further into that shit, you know. Just take care of yourself, take care of your responsibility, stand on your own too, you know. And that's it. You know what I mean? And it made me a better person. I tell you that.
This is awesome. This is amazing. You know, I hope you guys enjoyed this. But I feel like, you know, like you said, having your daughter puts you in like a certain position of servitude. And you served us with Native Son, you know, amazing project. Who's still out here playing it? A year later, still playing it, still rocking it.
That's love. You know? That's love for real.
So that's awesome. But man, this was amazing. I'm ready to vibe. I'm ready to get to it. So. Okay, so we're going to take a 5-minute break, get your refreshments, and
no doubt.
We're going to see you rock.
Appreciate y'all.